Good evening and welcome to the 2020 Economic Recession and Preparation channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me once again today, February 6, 2020. Well, it looks like things are starting to slow down after the bubble melt up of Tesla stock to $960. You remember yesterday. Today it fell back some. We also got news today that the Dow Jones was up about 60 or 70 points today. Dow futures edged higher late Thursday, along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures after a stock market rally powered to new fresh highs. So investors have rated companies like Uber, Pinterest, and Bill.com. Of course, they were all one IPO in 2019. As a buy. They rated them as a buy, upgraded them from a buy from neutral zones now. So now eBay is even making a comeback on the stock market as a company that's rated now as a future buy. So the pumping of money by the Federal Reserve into the repo market continues. We also see the magic trickery and wizardry done not only by America but by other countries in the world to keep propping up their economies to the election and beyond the election. But we know that the depression is on its way, and in fact it has already started. The recession has already started. Now let me give you some of the good news first, if there's such a thing, but this is some of the better news that CNBC is reporting that U.S. manufacturing activity rebounds in January and U.S. weekly job claims fall. Now, remember, the job claims numbers don't count those who have essentially given up looking for work, or it doesn't count those also who are underemployed. So you may have a job making $15, $20 an hour, but you in your city, if you're in a high cost of living city, you actually could be underemployed. So they don't count those numbers. And also, the stock market this week, it only had one down day. As you know, it dropped 400 points that one day. I believe it was Wednesday. I believe it was Monday. But, and that's ironic because we have the coronavirus still going on in China. Over 500 people are dead in China, and the numbers could be higher than that. We've had cases in North America, Europe, Germany, cases in India, Philippines, everywhere the cases are popping up, and we're just getting started with this coronavirus. Now, the media will downplay it and say it's no more deadlier than the common flu or anything else, but this is very serious as China's taking the steps to build hospitals in 10, 15 to 20 days. They built 3 new hospitals to house the people that may or may not be infected. But because the United States and other countries, developed nations, took so long to quarantine the flights, to stop the flights that were coming out of China, we had potentially 2-week period where massive number of flights were coming out of Wuhan, going to San Francisco, places such as San Francisco, places along the west coast of the states and other destinations. So, and of course, this thing has a high incubation period of 14 days without people showing any type of real symptoms, quote unquote. And so it's much more serious than it thought. Now, I do not think this will be the Black Swan event, but it's getting closer and closer to the Black Swan event, which is going to bring down this whole economy. Now, as a matter of fact, there's a 70% chance of recession in the next 6 months, according to a new study done by MIT Sloan School of Management. They say that a 70% chance of recession will occur in the next 6 months. Well, guys, no duh. We've been saying that on this channel that there is a 100% chance of recession in the next 6 months. As a matter of fact, 2021 is going to be the year where everything comes crumbling down. The conditions are set up now. Oil is going down. Ironically, gold and silver is pushed down. Everything that's of real value is pushed down, but everything that is not of real value is pushed up. So we're in a massive bubble here. So the researchers looked at data. They found that the index, looking back to 1916, and they said that the likelihood of a recession is 70% now. And the 4 market factors that they use to do this research is industrial production, non-farm payrolls, stock market return, and the slope of the yield curve on a monthly basis. Well, you and I know that the yield curve has been inverted for the last 10 months now. We know that manufacturing PMI has been down for the last 5 straight months. It just was neutral this past month in January. We know that non-farm payrolls have not been increasing, and we know that companies have not been profitable since the 2008 crash. Okay. So, companies like Tesla will continue to flop the bubble. Companies like Amazon, Tesla, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, they will continue to push their bubble higher because those are the majority of the people in the stock market are making money. They have the majority of the shares, and the rest of us little guys or little peons, we're going to lose out on that. So the stock market is not a great place. I would not be investing in these bubbles because it's going to come crashing down, and you're going to lose everything in a matter of seconds. It's just a matter of time. So, as we look at this, we know that market volatility is very high right now heading into the spring and the summer. The only thing that's keeping these markets up now is that they know that the Federal Reserve is in a rock and hard place. They're going to have to drop these rates even lower. And I anticipate the next Federal Reserve meeting that they're going to be dropping rates another quarter basis point. And that's what's going to prop these markets up. But Boeing, once again, Boeing stock should be down by 25 to 30%, and it is not, okay? Even after all the crashes that have happened, the shipment delays, and you have to remember this too, okay? The stock market is up, but how many companies and countries depend on China for their manufacturing needs? Think about that, okay? You go to the grocery store. Where is most of your produce coming from other than Mexico, China, South America, Belize, places like that? When you go to a Walmart, the majority of products in there say made in what? They don't say made in the USA. Okay, besides your little cast iron skillet pans that you get, they still say made in the USA. The rest of the stuff that you see in there, I would say over 65% is sourced from China. Okay, so when this coronavirus comes, when we have another slowdown comes, when all these countries are practicing protectionism, isolationism, okay, meaning that they're not going to be trading with other countries due to a virus. It could be anything, biological, it could be social, it could be unrest, okay. That's going to hurt the world economy. And the United States is not immune to that because we do not manufacture anything over here, but we manufacture, most likely, two things we manufacture is fast food and debt, okay? You look on every corner and every store in every small town, every big town in America, what do you see? A CVS, a Burger King, a McDonald's, or a Waffle House, or whatever. But you normally see that on every single corner, okay? In China, they have the manufacturing base. They are going to be arguably the world's largest economy, okay, after this slowdown and meltdown ensures, okay, because they have reserve money. They have lots of gold that they've already have in hoard. They have allies, okay, Russia, India, and other allies over there. They're going to come together with China because they know China has the manpower, the manufacturing power, and they have the money to carry them through. So they can suffer a little pain in the short term. They can go through a 6-month recession or a year recession, but the United States, we cannot afford to go to war. We cannot afford to go through another recession because the next recession that we're predicting in 2021, January, we're already in a recession, but we're going to be fully into this thing, heading toward the depression, the start of this next decade in 2021. It's going to be the depression. It's going to be the 10-year depression that we had feared, that Japan had already experienced. We're going to experience that with deflation, stagflation, topping, and everybody's 401ks and pensions being wiped out as a result of the stock market foolery that we're seeing now on the stock market. How can a Tesla stock that just last year, okay, just 6 months ago, was only at, what, $300, $200, okay? How can it all of a sudden jump up to $700, $800, $900? It's insanity. It's absolute insanity. And that's the reason why, even if the Dow Jones correct as much as 50% of its value, it still wouldn't be down to its true value. Okay. So now we have a Dow Jones that's sitting at 29,379.77. Okay. Up 88 points today. When in actuality, we know as true Americans, this Dow Jones, if it were to fall down and have a depression like number, its actual value would be less than half that. So you're looking at maybe 15,000 maybe for a Dow Jones average if we're honest with ourselves. Okay, if we're looking at actual profitability, business statements, well, if we're looking at what potential growth is there in the market. So we are in real trouble, and don't let anyone fool you on the media saying that, yes, go on, and they want you to. They want you to go out and spend all your money on stocks, whatever money you have left over, which is very slim because 75% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, so there is not too much extra money to go out and invest in these companies in the first place. And the only market left for consumers, as we all know, is China. They have 1.7 billion people. In India, they have 1.1 billion people. Okay, it's the Eastern world. Okay, so that is what's going on here. And we know that our jobs are not coming back over here, at least the manufacturing jobs. They're trying to replace it with robots and automation and AI and, bring us into this cashless society. But at the same time, they keep printing up all this money and devaluing our currency, so we can't get ahead. Regular, hardworking Americans, I'm talking about, regular people, not billionaires or millionaires, they cannot get ahead because inflation is rising in the short term because of all the money printing that's staying at the top of the pyramid and it's not coming down into Main Street or into the cities and town. But this is all by design, okay? We're not surprised by that. We told you guys this was coming. And now MIT study just told us that there's a 70% chance of recession, that we know there's a 100% chance of recession. Always remember the lessons that your grandmother and that your grandparents have taught you, that what goes up must come down. Number two, everything is in a bubble, okay, and the U.S. economy is slowing down. And remember now, this phase 1 China trade deal is in the air now because of coronavirus. China's cut their exports, their promises in half about how much agriculture they were going to buy from the U.S. meats. They can afford to suffer. Like I said, they have over 1 billion people. Losing a couple hundred people or whatever, it is a major concern, but it's not as much a major concern for them if they can get a U.S. in a position where they have to bargain with them. Okay, they don't want to bargain with this president. We've seen that. They do not want to trade with us anymore. They don't want to be in a position. They're in the stronger position because they have the stronger economy, and they will have the stronger economy going into this next global recession. Okay, and they know that. Okay, and they're using that to bargain as a bargaining chip. So continue to make your preparations, my friends. Continue to stock up on food, water, mask if you need that, medical supplies, antibiotics, things that are going to be in short supply. As a matter of fact, I was in one grocery store this week. Okay, I'm not going to say which one. And they said that I went to the to go get the beans and lentils. I guess you call it lentils and beans, and the beans in the bags, not the ones in the can. I like a lot of different beans. Lentils, green split peas. Okay, went there and they had a sign on the shelf saying that we're sorry, we had a problem with sourcing supply. We don't have those available. There's literally signs. The whole half of the shelves were empty. They couldn't source them, and my guess was, you can guess where they came out of. Those means they source them from China and places like that. And so, if you think that this is not going to affect you in terms of food shortages, next recession, depression that's coming, it is, because you'd be surprised at how many things that we outsource as America, as a country, food and water and all that stuff. If the ships are not running, if the planes are not flying, if the trucks are not coming for whatever reason, like I said, it could be a coronavirus, it could be another black swan, it could be a terrorist event or whatever. If the ships are not moving, the trucks are not going, you're not going to be able to go to your local store and get water and bread on the dime. Okay, you have to have that beforehand. Okay, before something happens, before the media tells you, oh, you might want to have 3 days of 2 weeks of food or whatever, a bottle of water or flashlights, solar power. You're going to need to have that stuff beforehand, because this coronavirus does remind us how easy it is for borders to shut down, for cities to be put on lockdown. That is going to be coming here once crime and everything gets out of hand. Martial law is a very real possibility, even after the elections and after we get into this next year and the economy gets really bad, when they really say we can't, print our way out of this. Okay. So you want to be prepared to hunker down in your place of refuge, wherever it is that may be, okay? But you need to have these supplies, okay? You don't want to spend your money. Okay, let's have some fun too, have fun too, but start making out these contingency plans, because then people are not services are not going to be able to come and rescue you as fast. Hospitals are going to become overwhelmed. Police is going to be overwhelmed with calls, just simple calls like, hey, I'm flooded, or hey, I need, such and such, somebody's trying to loot my house and get bread or whatever. So you don't want to be out there in these Walmarts, in these Targets, in these stores when there's some kind of crisis, either man-made or a hurricane or whatever is going on. And this just goes to show you how quickly supplies runs out. Most grocery stores only have 3 days worth of food. Okay, so you can imagine a small town of 40,000 people or 70,000 people trying to go to these three little grocery stores around town. Okay, if the trucks are not flowing, guess what? And they'll be going out before then. In 2 days, some of these super Walmarts, you'll be empty and lucky if you get anything in 2 days. So you need to be prepared because it can happen just like that. The Dow Jones stock market can drop 2,000 points, and next thing you know, people are panicking, running to the banks, ATMs, and you can't get any cash out. It can happen just like that. Or a glitch in the system because everything is, moving toward automated. Well, if you can't access any money, you can't access any gold and silver, you can't access your credit cards, then how are you going to survive? So it's always important to keep cash on hand. Cash is king in the short term. Like I said, I'm not saying it's everything, but it is going to be king in the short term, and people won't be able to access as much credit or as they are accustomed to when we start heading later on in the later months into this financial crisis that's going to be happening later on this year. So that's my video for today. Just wanted to come on here and share some short thoughts with you. Leave me in the comments. Let me know what's happening in your neck of the woods. If you're in the States or international, let me know the unemployment rate for young people, the millennials they keep talking about. Are they really doing good in your city and town in terms of jobs? I know this sends a lot of college graduates and they're looking forward to graduating in May. What are you seeing? Tell me, what are you experiencing in your neighborhood? I'll be very curious to know how things are looking. But the bottom line is stay prepared, and that way you don't have to get prepared. So be blessed. I'll talk to you guys soon, and have a great evening.